We have some patch notes for the Overwatch 2 beta that has just gone live. If you guys aren't in, you can of course keep checking, as that should roll out over time, probably roll out today, or you can go get the Watchpoint pack. But what we're looking at today in terms of new big things, obviously we're talking about crossplay. That's good to have. You will be seeing console players in this beta as well. We have quick play is temporarily being adjusted to throw the competitive rule set up there. That does not mean that you're going to get SR going up and down, but it does mean that you're going to do attack and defense with some backfill options. If someone leaves, people could still join, so modified competitive rule set there. We have the new hero Junker Queen. She is what we expected from the leak / what we saw on the card that they have already showed us, but this is very cool. You guys can see more about her elsewhere. And then we have the new looks. So they've been teasing us with new looks of some of the old heroes, like changing their classic looks. And it looks like those are now available for all of the heroes. And they're going to be the classic 2 skins. So that's pretty cool. I noticed that webpage that had some of them went away on Blizzard's website a while ago. So now they're apparently in the game and for everyone. Very cool. Other things that get interesting, they did some ping adjustments. Short time you can ping after you're dead, specifically the person that took you out. A couple things like that. They've adjusted the scoreboard a bit to give you more transparency so you can see through it a bit more when you're holding it up, as well as to move some stuff around so it's easier to see with your eyeballs what's going on in terms of on the scoreboard, but they didn't really give us super new meaningful stats. Yeah, it looks like assist should work this time. That was broken in the first beta, but we are going to see something where they didn't give us new stats. They didn't give us like damage taken or healing received on heroes or, actual killing blows that each person has. No, not so much for that. But hey, at least they fixed assists, so it's something. And they did make ults easier to see, some of the number stuff, etc. So now we move on to maps. It is going to be a bigger map pool than we had in the first beta. Most of these are going to be just them adding new old maps like Busan, like Gibraltar, where now that they have lighting available for them, we're going to get a bigger map pool. But we did get one new map, Parisio, and that's going to be a hybrid map to check out there. So that's cool. So then we get into the passives. No big deal there. We knew what was coming with the DPS, where they've lost their 30% movement speed passive. That's gone. That was incredibly powerful at high levels. And now they can maintain up to 30% of their ult charge when they swap from one hero to another. So a bit of a swapping encouragement for the biggest role on the roster in terms of number of heroes. They did also return speed to heroes that had previously lost speed because of the passive. So this would be Genji and Tracer, who in Overwatch 1 were a little bit faster than the rest of the cast. It's just a hidden passive that they had, as well as Soldier and Sombra, who previously had their speed from their sprint, their invisibility nerfed because it was too fast with the passive. But those are going to be returned based on what we read here. Finally, the supports, since DPS did get a nerf to their passive, looks like supports get a minor one as well. The time to activate their self-healing is going from 1 to 1.5 seconds, so that's going to take a bit longer, and then they should still get their normal 15 health per second after that. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the general stuff. Now we get into the heroes themselves, and this should be fun. Reinhardt going to lose out on 50 armor there, gain 25 health, so definitely a net nerf for him. Apparently they think he's too successful, too brawly. They're probably just trying to give Orisa more of a spot, but we'll see. Winston going to have his barrier reduced as well and his ult cost increase. So far we're seeing a trend of less bulk for the tanks. Maybe we don't want them to be quite so independent. And then we're looking at D.Va, who's having her mech armor increased from 200 to 300 and her mech health decreased from 450 to 350. So she, on the other hand, is getting more bulk. She's got the same total number of points, but a greater portion of it is going to be armor. So they're clearly trying to figure out what to do with her. Obviously, her role, we've talked about this before, has sort of been a play a peel for a very poke-heavy team against a team that wants to dive you a little bit more. They want her to be able to brawl, or maybe how some people would think about tank, in the front line a little bit more. They want her to be better competition to these two, perhaps. I don't know how well that'll work. It may make her too good. We'll have to see. Doomfist, Seismic Slam no longer slows enemies. That's a huge nerf. And then Power Block, damage reduced from 90% to 80%. That doesn't really matter. the damage block reduction on him, but this is going to hurt Doomfist pretty bad. No longer slowing enemies. That was sort of his unique selling point. When he hits people, he messes up their rotation a bit. He creates a bigger opening for people to go through. Not slowing them, it's still going to mess with them a little bit. It's still got a little bit of a knock-up effect type thing there I'd expect, but that's gonna make it worse. And Doomfist wasn't some overpowered tank. We're well aware of that, so I'm surprised to see this. He wasn't an overpowered tank at low levels or at high levels. Yes, in the previous stage of Owl, he saw a bit of play, but Winston mostly eclipsed him in the end there, in the Winston or Doomfist choices, though Doomfist was perfectly fine, and obviously, Zarya was the other thing that saw a lot of play in that first stage. And now we're seeing some more Reinhardt, that sort of thing in this stage. So this is weird, but whatever. Orisa. We see augmented fusion driver. Damage increased from 10 to 12. Okay. Projectile size no longer scales with distance. Fine. Initial size reduced from 0.3 to 0.1. That is a big shrink. So it's... okay. It's shrinking quite a bit, but it's going to do more damage with each hit. I don't know about that deal. Critical damage bonus increased from 50 to 100%. Okay, so there's the damage coming back. And then damage fall off at maximum range reduced from 70 to 50%. Maximum fall off range reduced from 15 to 35 meters to 15 to 25 meters. So they're trying to make her good if you're precise, if you're getting those headshots, if you're in a very small range increment. They're trying to make her better at short range. She already wasn't terribly dangerous at long range, but that's what they're going for there. Fortify, 20% movement speed penalty removed. That probably makes sense. They want to keep her fast, and she has the javelin spin movement. She has all of those things. Headshot immunity removed. Did we really need to do that? Javelin spin. Cooldown decreased from 10 to 7 seconds. That's big. Speed boost reduced from 65 to 40. That's also pretty important. And knockback increased. Okay. That's a pretty big move around that we're having happen on her. They did a lot to this tank. And I'm not sure they needed to. She flowed well enough. Well, whatever. Energy Javelin, impact reduced from 80 to 60. Cooldown increased from 6.5 to 8. Okay. Less damage and greater cooldown. It was a range stun. It was sort of like a Roadhog hook. Doesn't bring them in, but it was pretty powerful. But it was also a skill shot, so it wasn't getting too many complaints. Obviously, at close range, it's pretty easy, and she does most of her work at close range. Terra Surge, max damage increased from 275 to 500. Okay. Damage begins to ramp after the old 200 damage timing. So it's kind of going to kind of be like Casty, where it, would ramp up part way in, and after the old 200 damage timing, where it would take out squishies, is when it's going to start spiking to be more effective against tanks effectively. It's going to be, hey, if you stand there longer, she's going to start being meaningful against tanks with that ult. That's fine. They're trying to make her more close range, more powerful. I suspect what we're seeing with some of these Reinhardt and Winston nerfs are to make her more competitive in that short range battle place. Interesting to see. We'll have to see where exactly it goes. Now we're moving on to our damage heroes. Bastions has his grenade cooldown reduced. It won't help. He's still in trouble. Casty now grants 50% damage reduction, so that's what they tried previously in Overwatch 1 there. Not surprised that it's making it over there. He gets 50% damage reduction during his combat role's duration. Fine. Junkrat fully locks movement again. We knew that was going to happen. The devs shared that with us. Projectile speed increased from 10 to 15. It doesn't matter a ton. Frag launcher, projectile size increased from 0.2 to 0.25. Okay, so a little bit bigger with our wonderful skill shot from Skill Rat there. That's fine. That's fine. He was one of the worst heroes, like quite possibly the worst hero in the last Overwatch 2 beta. So no big deal. Good to see him get a little bit of buffs here. He really does need his root. Farah, rocket launcher, reload starts 0.25 seconds faster when out of ammo. She does have an obnoxiously long reload. That's fair. And then concussive blast now deals 30 damage and deals additional knockback on direct hits. Fine. Symmetra. Okay, so Symmetra was supposed to get a mini rework here. So what are we looking at? Photon projector, primary fire, maximum ammo increased from 70 to 100. No longer generates ammo when damaging barriers. So what are we going to get to compensate for that? Because 30 ammo isn't enough. Photon projector, secondary fire, projectile speed increased from 25 to 50. Max damage reduced from 120 to 90, 45 impact, 45 explosion. Max projectile size reduced from 0.5 to 0.4. Ammo cost increased from 7 to 10. And then charge time increased from 1 to 1.2. Okay, what do we got? Teleporter, build time reduced from 2 to 1 seconds. Now has a maximum lifetime of 10 seconds. Cooldown increased from 10 to 16. Cooldown starts when teleporter is placed. Health reduced from 300 to 200. 50 health, 150 shields. Range reduced from 30 to 22. And then she has her turrets. Travel speed increased from 15 to 20. Movement speed reduction on target reduced from 20% per turret to 15% per turret. What? What are we getting on Symmetra? This looks like nerfs to me. Like, this looks like overall nerfs to me. Did I miss something? So we're losing a bunch of damage on her. Excuse me. We're losing her ammo regen, but we're getting some ammo. Projectile speed being significantly faster. That's the biggest thing we've seen. We've doubled the projectile speed on her secondary fire. We've decreased the size of the projectiles. We've decreased the damage of the projectiles. We've increased how much ammo they cost to basically make up for the ammo increase that we got. Charge time has been increased. This is going to probably be a net nerf. What they're showing us is supposed to make up for it is this speed increase from 25 to 50, which is a lot on that secondary fire. But we'll have to see how that goes. I mean, you're not really going to be able to dodge the beach balls the same way on that. But really her place was as a close range. It was the beam. The beam was what made Symmetra good. So the beam and the teleporter and the turrets, like the secondary fire is now supposed to be what makes her good. Yes, obviously she can still ramp with her left click. Maybe this is worth it. Maybe it's worth it to get the flexibility. She still has her teleporter. She still has her ramping beam. And then she has more threat potential with that right click, even if her total ammo has gone down. Okay, we'll see. Maybe she's going to be a monster. Maybe. She's not in as bad a shape as I thought there. Torbjorn, fire recovery reduced from 0.6 to 0.55 seconds. Fire recovery reduced from 0.8 to 0.7 seconds for his primary and secondary fire, respectively. So, little mini Tor buffs there. Those do matter. No big deal. And then we're on to supports. Orb of Discord, time to fall off targets when not in line of sight, reduced from 3 to 2 seconds. I hate it. I hate it. Mercy, Guardian Angel can no longer be canceled using crouch for a big vertical boost. Now automatically launches you upward if you reach the end of Guardian Angel. Angelic Descent will now additionally slow speed if held, not just descent speed. Okay. So you can control how slowly you go vertically. This means you can dampen vertical knockbacks, such as Junkrat's concussion mine, but also they remove the amount of height that the GA vert boost gives you. Okay, that's fine. So it's going to be a little weird to get used to the new Mercy change there. Not really much in terms of support changes. I feel like they would have learned from that from the last beta and said, hey, wait, you actually have to do something to make the support queues work. Obviously, Mercy is going to feel different here, but this isn't really new toys for supports to play with. I'm a little surprised. And then we've got some bug fixes, nothing too new there. So overall, I look at this. This is the beta. You guys should definitely check it out. Tanks look a little less bulky overall. Doomfist, I think, is going to be worse. Reinhardt, Winston, worse. Diva, obviously, a little better, but she had minimal playtime. And Orisa, they're really, really trying to go, hey, this is a close range tank, use it. Fine. DPS changes honestly don't look too impactful. Mostly they've given stuff to weak heroes like Pharah and Junkrat, who needed it a little bit. Cassidy, this looks like a perfectly fine buff given that he's weaker than in Overwatch 1 where he has his actual stun. The grenade just isn't going to help Bastion. Symmetra is really tough to get a read on here. I actually need a little bit of playtime to see that. This secondary fire at double speed, projectile speed, that is pretty meaningful. On the other hand, all of the rest of this is nerfs. And then Mercy has the Guardian Angel change. She won't have her infinite flight shenanigans, but she will have easier to execute Guardian Angels, as well as a little control over being knocked up in the air, a little more vertical movement control. So that's what we're looking at. Let me know what you guys think. Is this enough? Did they change enough for this second beta to be interesting? Or Is this correct? They're properly iterating. It's small. I think, honestly, the biggest changes that we're looking at is going to be these role passives here. Some of the tank stuff that they did, and then these role passives are the biggest changes that we're seeing. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're enjoying the content, drop a like. Consider subscribing for upcoming and more Overwatch and Overwatch 2 content, analysis, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Temporal out.